Accused of abusing a lactation room. So, I'm a female who works in a heavily male-dominated work environment, 100 plus men, 4 women. I'm the only one who does technician work, the others are admin. I'm currently 11 months postpartum and am pumping at work. My assistant supervisor pulled me into his office today and asked me if I was studying while I was in the mother's room. Apparently there's been several comments made that I'm spending too much time in there and no one can ever find me. Which I feel is ridiculous because I only pump twice a day during work hours, and I try to center those times around our schedule's breaks so I'm not losing too much work time. I feel this came up initially when a stockroom employee asked me how my studying was going, as I'm taking college classes at the recommendation of my supervisors for a possibility of promotion. Then asked if that was what I do in that tiny room. I corrected him saying that was a lactation room for mothers, and he was very apologetic, saying how he was mistaken because when I walk by I'm carrying a school bag. I carry all of my supplies and pumps in a backpack. This all may be moot as I won't be pumping for much longer anyways, but how can I protect myself from these accusations? Update. Thank you all for your advice and encouragement. I sent an email to one of our people in HR and evidently they collectively shit a brick because I had a meeting with them within the hour. To summarize the conversation, the company can't and won't regulate or monitor my use of the mother's room in any way. And anyone making any comments or allegations concerning my time in there are to be directed to upper management to be told none of your business as far as HR is concerned. Whatever I do in that room while I'm pumping is fine. I can read, nap, study, play on my phone, whatever. So long as I'm pumping they do not care how I pass the time. They'll be sending an email to my managers to confirm what we spoke about in the meeting and to help them better understand what their role is in protecting my rights as a nursing mother. NAL. But this comes from now I advise managers on perusing discipline based on coworker allegations, which is that if you don't have specifics, don't go chasing things down based on vagaries and innuendo. For example, when someone tells me, I can never reach him when I need him, or, she's always saying things like this. My response is it actually, never, always, or were there a couple of times and it just really bothered you? Keep a level head. The answer to the question is, no. I'm using the lactation room for pumping and I'm doing so an appropriate amount of time. If the conversation continues on, I'm not really able to respond to generalities. Is there an actual documented problem with my performance? Are there specific times when people haven't been able to locate me when I was needed? Are there specific tasks that weren't completed as needed? In other words, it's not on you to explain every detail of your lactation experience and plans because a few people don't understand it and have some vague feeling that you're somehow getting paid to do nothing. Link. That's the fact sheet from the Department of Labor. I find with comments like that you should just act aloof, like what they said doesn't make sense or you are confused. You don't have to explain anything to your coworkers. And honestly, I watched most of Parks and Recreation on my break. Do what you need to do to keep pumping and your supply up. I would email the supervisor who you had the conversation. Say that to reiterate, you go twice a day to pump to the pumping room. Tell him that pumping takes between X and Y time, and that the bag you take is the equipment to pump milk. Then link him the doll link. I would then add that it made you very disappointed that people were gossiping about you going there to study, when you are actively postpartum and need to pump milk to your child. You hope that your response clear the matter because you are professional, and do not want this to tarnish your reputation in the office. Something along those lines. You should send an email because then there is something in writing about this if it comes up again. This is how to protect yourself. At the beginning, I never sent emails when shit came up at work because I was like, oh, it's just going to be worse. Well, then came to bite me in the ass and people lied to cover theirs, and I was screwed. So always document over email. Always. You have a convo about anything, you email your supervisor a summary about your meeting edit. You can ask your supervisor if you should email him before, after you go to pump so that he knows you are temporarily out of your desk. I don't know if this would be worse or better, but if people are complaining on purpose, documenting when you pump could help. I'm not sure if you can do this, but at my work I have a shared calendar. I shared my use of the wellness room on the calendar, which also made it clear that it was 1/2 hour twice per day, and also made it easier for people to find me and to know when not to bother me. NAL. But as a mother who pumped, breastfed. Federal protections allow for reasonable time and place to express milk at work. It doesn't have exact time frames because everyone is different. Some women take 20 to 30 minutes to pump. I had it down to a science and start to finish was about 17 to 18 minutes. I just pumped on every break and lunch, and on breaks went a couple minutes over. If they need proof, show them the bottles of milk. I doubt they'll comment after that. Visit link for the legal verbiage. But seriously, if you just came back from maternity leave, it's really not a stretch that you'd be using the lactation room to lactate. If you're worried that you are being, or will be, discriminated against due to your family status, then you should start a paper trail of the complaints, comments by reporting them in writing to your supervisor. Our I'll go straight to our. Any reasonable HR will have the piss scared out of them the moment you bring up pregnancy, motherhood discrimination, and they will come down like a bag of hammers on these folks. That can burn the company so hard. After reading the comments and your responses, it seems you are being harassed. You tried pumping discreetly at your desk, but comments made you move to the lactation room. Comments about your productivity are now being made because of the time you are lactating. As others have said, you need to send an email documenting all of this to your supervisor and letting them know you would like the comments and gossip regarding your lactation to stop. I think that my supervisors believe me, but my work group is fairly hostile and try to burn each other constantly. There was even an incident before I came on board where one assaulted another and nothing was done about it, so I'm concerned management won't have my back if this escalates.